Welcome into Blockchain Basement. On today's episode, we're going to talk about PayPal's secret plan to take over the crypto market and why everybody's buying Ethereum. All this and more on today's Blockchain Basement.
I'm not.
You ready for this? I'm ready. Welcome.
If you're gonna screw me, at least pull my hair.
Hell yeah. What do you got?
They could start chopping off fingers. They're like, give me your seed phrase, but I don't know it.
Out to give the numbers out. And I was like, no, hang up the phone right now.
Or like when it dropped in 2020, was it like exciting?
400,000 to 600,000. The generational signals are now.
Level. So I don't even know if we're gonna get back below there, but if we do, that's kind of where we
All right, welcome into Blockchain Basement. We're going to have a really good show for you guys today. We've got an all-star cast as always. We've got the J's and the Druth, TJ, BJ, AJ. Oh, I did it backwards. BJ, AJ. And on the board, Owen. And then, of course, all of you guys in the chat. We got Manowalk, Beastmaster69, Ryan Anderson, Isaac95, Vegan JP, formerly Joe Ryan. Oh, hey, name change there. Gotcha. Crypto Perks, Teresa Young, Robert Caston, Sack Nasty 86, TJ's Chicken Salad. Haven't had chicken salad in a while. Got to bring that back. Crimson Caravan Company, Beast. I already said Manwalk, Free Kip, Yellow Pen 34, Skid Marks, and many more. We love all of you guys.
I told you the shirt I want to make, and I actually want to see what people think. So,
all right, let's hear it.
Basically, like a bullish pattern. I actually probably have like chicken salad, bullish pattern, like ham sandwich this. So basically the food indicator to the chart pattern.
Yeah, I'm into like a fear and greed index with the food on it.
Yeah,
kinda.
I just think it'd be a funny shirt.
We'll see. Maybe some people would buy it.
All right, it's not as good as my creation of the Druth.
No, the Druth is the best you've contributed. Well, you've contributed a lot so far.
No,
the
Druth
is
the
a good
best.
one. Michael King says, smash the likes. We do appreciate it. If all of you guys that are watching right now can do that right off the rip, it does help get the message out there. We're talking Ethereum some more today. We talked a little bit last week. I know there's a lot going on over the weekend. Had some ETF stuff going on, some more PayPal developments. We talked about them releasing a stablecoin. We're going to talk about their further plans. And it's very interesting. Could be another, Coinbase competitor, exchange competitor, but also could in my opinion, really help broaden the awareness for crypto and digital assets in general. Let's see, there was U.S. economy looking a little shaky in a lot of different directions. Got some real estate numbers, some interest facts. Got people out there just saying, well, U.S. treasuries are fine. We can always just print more money that on live TV, which is always just entertaining to watch. I know Drew's got some, we had those fires over the weekend, which is crazy.
Yes, that was wild.
Really sad.
Yes.
I know Kelly here in the office, Kelly Kellum from BitLab Academy. If you guys don't check that out, he does a lot of really good content there. His family's had long history there. Has a lot of family members, friends.
He actually has a GoFundMe going.
He does.
I don't like to show those, but in this case, we definitely do.
Yeah. This is one where a lot of people there. He was telling me beforehand, like 70% of the people pretty much just completely wiped out. Like they're doing good to have their backpack in their life. Unfortunately,
it's an intense situation, man.
Yeah,
it took them. There's been a lot of questions about our federal response to it so far. A lot of people the lack thereof. It seems that they're not really as interested in Hawaii.
I'm trying to be
victims.
so tame about this right now.
I know.
By the way,
well, he's about to. We're going to save that for later in the show.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
A lot of thoughts and opinions on what's going on there and why. Crimson Caravan Company dropping the lab coats. He's in the lab again today. What do I put in my chicken salad if I hate mayo? I usually try to get it mustard based or just extremely light mayonnaise. You can do, I think, yogurt based.
What about Durkees?
What are Durkees?
Durkees, it's like a mayo, but it actually doesn't taste terrible.
Interesting. I don't know. I'd have to give it a sniff test. I'm very anti anything.
TJ, do you like Miracle Whip?
I do not. Okay. I'm very anti almost any white-based sauce.
Yeah. Hey, me
Whoa.
too.
Yeah, so.
I like Alfredo.
Whoa.
That's the only
Alfredo,
one.
yeah,
Alfredo's
like cheese
the only
sauces
one.
are okay, but like ranch, sour cream, anything
Cottage
like
cheese?
that. Cottage cheese, no thanks.
Sour cream?
Sour cream, no. Yeah.
What?
Whow.
Yeah, it just is what it is. But all right, I know the number one thing they come here to watch is not my diet choices, but to hear us talk about crypto. So let's get into that real quick. We've got Bitcoin right where we left it, 29,552. Still, it is trying to make a small move, trying to hold on to 30K. AJ's, you've been talking about, is it September 14th? Was that
17th?
17th. AJ's been referencing, I know we talked about it on the show last week. He's talked about it on a couple different channels. It's kind of coming to a tipping point in the next month or so where we've got some time frames and some moving averages that are going to be converging there, where Bitcoin can't hold on. It could be moving to the, we're going to see a convergent points where it's either going to break up or down. There's another, we've got some volatility stuff we're going to come back to on that later in the show to talk about that. And I kind of want to get everybody's opinion on where they think if it's going to break up or down. There's a few other points in history where we've seen along with the volatility dropping so low, generally we see a pretty big move within a few days of that. So we've got that coming up right now. But Ethereum is the one that's got my attention recently. We showed all the VCs going hard on Ethereum not too long ago. More building on Optimism stack, which is a layer 2 of Ethereum, just tons of layer 2s. I'm getting more and more conviction about building out those Ethereum-based and ETH layer 2 portfolios, something we're looking at more on a corporate level too, moving towards increasing our positions in both Optimism and Matic. But seeing base blow up, seeing how many people are building on the OP stack, it seems to be, and seeing where they're taking these layer 2s to where you need to use the OP token as kind of the super chain to kind of function a lot of these layer 2 transactions. I think over time that's gonna bode well. So real quick update there on the market, and then here's kind of what's happening in crypto today. I want to get some people's thoughts on where we're going with PayPal. Let's see. Payment giant PayPal set to roll out cryptocurrencies hub for some users, which will allow for the sale of purchased cryptocurrencies among other functionalities. Meanwhile, the yield platform Tsunami protocol has suffered a flash loan exploit with over 2.1 million stolen blockchain security firms, yada, yada, yada. So another exploit, so PayPal announced last week, and I know you guys probably have talked about this either on around the blockchain or on the main show. I don't know if you've kind of referenced this.
Did you guys hear about that exploit that happened on Cardano?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh God, nice. Well, it's because nobody was transferring that much value on Cardano.
Got him.
So, what was it? Wednesday, Thursday last week? PayPal rolled out the stablecoin news, and now they're coming out with they're going to basically be allowing for swaps, which isn't necessarily a huge leap in business sense, but it is when it comes to the transitioning of all the coins, if that makes sense. So now, if you've got everybody moving into a PayPal-based stablecoin, and you can swap it for Bitcoin, you can swap it for all other sorts of things. They could very quickly become a top exchange kind of overnight.
Oh yeah,
right.
We were highlighting that. It's like the biggest payment processor on earth, right? And we're asking the question, why is this?
Is it really?
Well, yes, it is one of the biggest payment processors on earth. PayPal.
Yeah.
And why do they feel comfortable coming out with a stable coin while there's all this anger from the SEC against the cryptocurrency market? There's been a sticking point within the Federal Reserve and the U.S. government to be the only thing that can make new currency.
Right.
That's where the control is, and that's what we brought up on Thursday. How is PayPal comfortable with going forward with this? Of course, on Friday, we saw the SEC and a couple Federal Reserve kind of people close within that put up their aggravations against PayPal for doing so. Didn't matter. Microsoft came out the next day. Same thing, right? So all these big companies in the private sector that are the biggest processors on earth are comfortable moving forward with this for some reason, while there's all this SEC FUD going on. It's a very interesting situation.
So it's kind of like they don't respect them.
It is. Well, it's kind of like they know who makes the rules is above the SEC, and somewhere the words come down that this is coming through, and you need to go ahead and get your ducks in a row, and the SEC will fall in line when the time comes. I mean, that's how it feels to me.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, BJ?
Well, no, I thought it would just happen August 5th, 2023. But yeah, it was eBay who bought PayPal. And then I was trying to see who owns eBay. And then also see if Musk owns any of PayPal anymore. Or
I think he's been out completely of that for a while.
Then potentially X is going to be competing with PayPal.
Yeah, it is wild. So you get all these companies, X and PayPal could be competing with Coinbase, because obviously X announced they were going to be allowing not just digital asset trading, but I think stock asset trading as well on the X app that's coming soon. So on Drew's point too.
It's State Street, Vanguard, and BlackRock that own eBay.
Of course. Yeah.
There it is.
Did we already
surprise.
know that?
Yeah, well, they own.
We said the B word.
Yeah, they own basically everything. And which is also who owns Twitter, which is also who owns Coinbase.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Bring around the rosy.
Good point. Skid Marks in the chat.
What's he got?
CBDC stablecoin basically in PayPrick. And see, that's always been kind of a conversation. Like it was for like USDC. Like, are they going to be the ones that kind of Trojan horse in the CBDC? But now the conversation's kind of changing. Like, is it going to be PayPal that Trojan horse is the CBDC? Like, what's your take on that?
Well,
I think it's more likely than Coinbase or anything else. It's just like who has a PayPal in here?
I don't. That's
I
just
used
on a
to.
principle.
Okay. Well,
I used
out
to.
on the
I
streets,
have one. I don't
Yeah,
use it.
everybody.
It's gonna be pretty much everybody.
I would talked about that last time. I
versus who
always
has a
signed in
crypto
as
wallet.
guest.
Yeah, everybody's going to raise their hand in here, but
Yeah.
outside. Actually, we should do that at Dragon Con. Is ask people, be like, do you have a crypto wallet? No. Do you have a PayPal wallet? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
It probably
yeah,
outweighs it heavily.
It has to.
It is a ton. But what to AJ's question, where my brain goes is why not both? Why not let USDC and PayPal stablecoin? You know, if you're the government, you know, they've already said it's going to come from the private sector. Let them both do it and let people let them have the illusion of choice.
Yeah.
But you still have complete control from a government level on both USDC and what is PayPal's? It's like what's the ticker for it?
It's PYSUD or something like that.
PYSUD. Yeah. So
they're definitely going to do that then. Like that's what
That's a good point, TJ.
That is beautifully done. Give them the false choice of the false
illusion.
idealism of choice,
Right.
Yeah.
and you control both.
I also know that USDC like has a pretty heavy role because like when Brazil wanted to pilot their CBDC, you know who they talked to? Jeremy Allaire. Jeremy Allaire's run USDC. So why would he have that conversation with Brazil about them getting a CBDC started if he already didn't know how to do it?
Yeah.
Like
Circle's already in talks
Yeah, they're all-
with
yeah.
an EU USDC. We know that.
Yeah.
Actually, what's his name? Chemistry Bro's dad supposedly somehow works for Circle or is connected to Circle. He said something in there. But here, I'm going to come back to what Drew was talking about earlier about what all the corporate entities in the private sector seems to know about where digital assets is going that the government can't seem to get on board with, or they're delaying, stall tactics, whatever it is. But this came through, I think this came through Friday. Let's see, what's the date on when he posted this? August 12th, so 2 days ago. This is an update on the SEC versus Coinbase case, and basically a slam dunk win for Coinbase, which we kind of already knew that they were going to have their ducks in a row. But this shows not just the legal ducks in a row, but some of the game, in elite law, a lot of times it's who you know and who you can get to speak on your behalf. And so having some of these, we saw this work in the Ripple case as well, these amicus briefs really come in to just towards the end, just really bring the hammer down in the case. This is going to be in favor of Coinbase. But 6 security law offers filed devastating amicus brief in support of Coinbase. Law professors from Yale, University of Chicago, UCLA, Fordham, Boston University, and Widener filed an amicus brief last night that absolutely shreds the SEC's investment contract theory. Amicus brief brilliantly traces the history of the meaning of investment contract before, during, and after the passage of the Federal Securities Act in 1933. Here are their conclusions. 1, by 1933, the state courts have converged around a standard for interpreting the term investment contract to mean contractual arrangement that entitled an investor to a contractual share of the seller's later income, profits, or assets. So they've already come to this definition. Number 2, after the Howey decision in 1946, the common thread for investment contracts remains that an investor must be promised by virtue of his or her investment an ongoing contractual interest, which is this is the key word in a lot of this, contractual interest, in the income, profits, or assets of the enterprise. Number 3, every investment contract identified by Supreme Court involves a contractual undertaking to grant surviving stake in the enterprise. Bottom line, in my opinion, this amicus brief delivers the coup de grace to the SEC's argument that crypto tokens trading on secondary markets are investment contracts. Basically, it's very much a slam dunk to very similar to what we saw with the Ripple case or the XRP case. The tokens on the secondary market that you and I, that retail buyers and sellers, even non-retail, even accredited investors are buying and selling. If there's not a contract in place, if you're just buying it on the open market, then you're fair. It's fair game. It's not an investment contract. It's not a securities offering at that point.
Quick tangent. Pirate is saying, what about PayPal's stable of having a freeze function? It's there.
Well,
it's also there with pretty much all of your.
Hold on.
Everybody's got some. We did address this last week, but go ahead. Finish your thought, then AJ, then I'll go.
All right.
I was going to say, probably most of your favorite chains that I'm not going to actually call out have this same exact thing.
Yeah.
A little bit more prominent on PayPal from like the code that Altcoin Daily posted last week. A lot of people repost that. At least it's that code is a little bit more devious than some of the others. With USDC and USDT, you can get put on a blacklist, but you only get put on that blacklist if you if you're doing sketchy stuff. So you don't just get put on the blacklist for no reason. Like there's a kind of point with PayPal where they can, for no reason, just freeze. With USDC and USDTNC, you have to be on that list. And to get on that list, you have to
piss them off.
You have to piss them off. Exactly.
Which is pretty arbitrary to some people.
That's fair.
I mean, in theory, in reality, we like to assume it's obviously it's going to be a much higher level of infraction that's going to get you blacklisted than might on PayPal. But I kind of agree with both of you guys, and this was the kind of conclusion last week when we talked about it. You basically every centralized money transmitter service has that function built in. If you look into the terms of service, just like with the terms of service of PayPal, they can more or less turn your account off for any time. So can your bank account. So can whatever you use, FanDuel. So can eBay. So can any website you sign into, Facebook Marketplace, anything that has any kind of internal working of a credit system. They all work that way. If you break their terms of service, they can boot you out, and that's part of the kind of dichotomy of what's been going on with the internet for a long time is. With the Facebook where, hey, we can make these rules that, hey, if we don't like the way you're playing on our land, we're going to kick you out. But also at the same time, we're not responsible for anything built on our land because we don't have control. Like that's I can't remember the section. What's that code thing that they always use to kind of get on both sides of the Payments Act, basically, where there's one thing that they've been using. I wish I could remember. It's like section 389 or something
Order
like
66.
that. Yeah, it's something like that where Google, it's something Google, Facebook, Amazon have been using for a long time to where they're not held liable for any of the things that get published on their platform because they're just a publisher, they're not a producer, but at the same time they're curating it also. They are producing it, they're not just publishing.
Well, with the blacklisting, like we brought up a really good graphic last time with a lot of people's favorite chain that exists, that if I want to send something to AJ, it by default on that chain has to go through a smart contract platform that allows for blacklisting and allows for freezing versus other chains. There's far fewer of them. Again, I'm not calling them out, that it just goes from point A to point B. So that is something to look into. And I'm going to make you do your own research there.
Yeah. So it's every smart contract, anything you're using that's written in a smart contract all has variables.
Well, not every.
Well, every smart contract.
Hold on.
Really
fast?
what
I'm saying.
Yeah.
You just need to be familiar with what it is, and like the difference between what he was saying, the difference between USDC and USDT. It's simply in the way they operate on Ethereum. They can be blacklisted. They can block your address, and it's getting more and more sophisticated as more time goes on with Chainalysis, how they can do it, what they can do, and all that sort of stuff. So, and that it's funny. I have a Solana story at the end of the show if we have time. Speaking of different chains with different centralization functions and all that sort of stuff. I know there's still people out there that believe it's coming back. Some people believe it's not. Just wanted to get into that discussion a little bit. Nobody keeps the train on the tracks. Well, hey, we'll see. We'll see, Roosevelt Taylor.
We're talking about Terra Luna coming back?
I'm talking about Solana.
Really fast. DGAF Dan said, why is everyone so surprised about this with PayPal? Doesn't anyone remember they were saying they will take your money from you? But all right, so that actually got leaked out that they were going to take $2,500 if you said something that they didn't agree with or something that was considered mis or malinformation on social media. So that leaked out and they walked it back and realized we totally shouldn't do this because
they put it back in.
Yeah.
No.
Oh yes.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did.
They walked it back from the PR perspective of the terms of service, and then they put it back in.
So it's in there right now.
It's in there.
It's about 6
Really?
months later,
It
they put it
depends
back
on
in.
what is called
The
misinformation.
fact I didn't know that says a lot.
Don't you think about
They
that?
do that on
baseline?
purpose. When it was all big, they made a big splash. Like, oh yeah, we'll take it out.
Wow.
And then slid it back under the radar. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at something like misinformation. If you were saying like, oh, like the Hunter Biden laptop or the lab leak theory,
Well, that's
that would have been considered mis or malinformation then, but it's true now.
Or
So
is
do you
that
get your money? Do you get your
misinformation?
money back if you
No.
prove them wrong in a
you
year?
never get your money back.
And we don't
That's
get our money back from
crazy.
SBF paying for the elections. We don't get any of it back.
We don't get our money back with
Afghanistan
inflation
gets.
either.
I did not know they changed it back. I'm dumb.
It's
Sorry.
crazy.
No, you're not.
No, it's
Yeah.
just by
You're
design.
not.
Wow.
It's the way they
Yeah.
do it. But yeah, I can't. We
Have
covered
a
it on here
snack
when
to
they
make you
changed
feel
it.
better.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and if they get a deed, that's the whole thing. The overscope of this is they're trying to make misinformation boards within our federal government. They're trying to make an institution that says we are the information czar, and if what you say is against the grain, then we can literally take money out of your bank account. The intrinsic idea of that existing in general is where you should start if you disagree with the system being built.
Man, I can think of a lot of groups from history with some really good fashion from Hugo Boss that had the same ideals, yet we condemn them, but now we condone it here.
Honestly, I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission for them to take my money. Do you know how much content that is? If I say something on social media and PayPal takes my money, I'm going for it. I am going to piss them off until they take my money, so then I can make content of them taking my money.
There you go.
Done. That's a win-win situation.
Hey, modern problems call for modern solutions.
Right. That's right. What do I got to say?
I'll tell you after this.
All right. Okay.
Test it on your own channel.
Yeah. Everyone in the chat, DM me. Let me know. Yeah. Let me know what to say to PayPal.
All right. Well, we're gonna blaze through the rest of this because we got a lot to talk about. Ironically, considering nothing's happening in crypto right now. This is the most biggest news. SEC delays the decision on ARC 21. We talked about that last week. No surprise there. We're expecting to see a lot of delays. ARC 21 was the first one up. I think
expecting 6 months from the initial.
That's what a lot of people said. It could be about 6 months. There's going to be coming in on different timelines, different applications, all that sort of stuff. So again, not a huge surprise there. We already kind of touched on there was an exploit of $2 million. It's barely worth noting there. I just thought this was funny. Well, here we'll come to this. I'll play this video for you guys. Basically, somebody when we talked about last week, the U.S. Treasury is getting downgraded, or they're having their credit rating downgraded. Yeah, this is funny. They ask him about this, and he just like, what? So hold on. Let's see if this is good.
I remember my first time interneting.
Are U.S. Treasury bonds still safe to invest in?
Very much so. I think this is not an issue of credit rating.
Watch this guy's face.
The United States can pay any debt it has because we can always print money to do that. So there is zero probability of default.
Are U.S.
He's
Treasury
to the technical director on that, grabbing that shot.
That was gold.
That was amazing.
Yeah, we can always do that, right? Just turn it back on, print more money.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So
I wonder if he got fired for taking that shot.
That's so funny.
But what's bizarre is like
that was amazing.
I was thinking about that clip afterwards, and I always try to, think about it. Okay, so that guy, I think that guy believes that. The guy that makes that statement, I think he truly, honestly.
What's what he's seen?
Yeah, it's worked. That's been his whole career. We've always been able to pay our debts because anytime we get into trouble, we just print more money. And if we are the reserve currency, there's no way we can run out. We just print more, and it's just like.
We need more money.
Well, and remember, PayPal, I think, is covering, or we've seen some overlapping of crypto companies buying U.S. Treasury bonds to back their value within their own company. Now.
And you just hit the nail on the head. When you think about what's going on here on a corporate level compared to a government level, why all of a sudden are we getting all of these businesses ushering in crypto? Why is it okay for digital assets all of a sudden, even though we don't have clear regulation on it just yet? It's because they need this new money to come in and buy up all these treasuries.
Right.
Yep.
They need liquidity to flow in from somewhere to start buying up these government bonds because, the money printers of this other stuff isn't working anymore. So if now we can have digital assets, what I've been saying about USDC for a long time, or really any US-based stablecoin, is if they can do that, they can create way more demand for the dollar globally without having to create a war and go in and install a new regime for currency and make them use the dollar.
Hold on. We're not going to go that far.
Well, I'm just saying,
you can't say the truth.
Use technology to do it more efficiently without having to do it the manual way.
Listen,
I guess
that
I could
cobalt and that semiconductor production's looking mighty fine.
Well,
I need
is
a little
true.
freedom here.
There is some resources out there.
To be super contrarian here, if what a lot of people were scared with USDT was that it was held up by commercial paper, and that's why a lot of people didn't like it. Isn't that what we're about to do potentially if we're taking a US-based stablecoin and backing it with bonds that might become junk bonds?
Yes, that's exactly
That's
the rub. That's kind of
The
what we've been seeing with the
intermingling.
stablecoin wars this year. When you saw the depeggings and the shifts and some of these, all of it has to do with how much.
Well, the depegging was last year when SBF went to jail.
Was it end of November or December?
Yeah. And then Caroline couldn't. Never mind.
No, that's a different depegging.
That is.
There's a couple of them.
That was the pegging.
Talking
Yes.
Hey, Merkle trees are way more important now. That's what you're saying.
yeah, that is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
TJ getting blacklisted. TJ about to get blacklisted from PayPal.
We'll
now I
derail
lost my
this.
train of thought. But no, that's what I was. Stablecoin wars, and what we're seeing is what's in the treasuries. You kind of, at the time, the three big ones really were USDT, USDC. You've got Binance, BUSD, but Make or Die is another one that kind of plays into that because of the way their treasury was balanced. Now, and sometimes they hold a mix, Make or Die might hold some USDC, some USDT, and, gold or treasuries or bonds or a lot of different things. So getting the more broadened basket of assets, which has always been the logical iteration of what's coming next for another currency. It's what Facebook's Libra wanted to do in 2018 that scared the crap out of the US government. They're like, oh gosh, you're going to put dollars and treasuries and yen and, and all these other currencies and all these other assets to back this. Like, that sounds very attractive for global wealth to flow into that. Like, you can't do that. Dollars only. You know, and then it's like, well, now that's not the point.
It's amazing to see him be open to the public sector do this, right? Like, because I thought that it was going to be very privatized. Like the federal government, after I saw Libra get slapped around in front of Congress for attempting to make a stable coin on Facebook, which seemed like a reasonable thing to do. Marketplaces of where a lot of commerce was happening. There's a lot of reason for the use case. And then Zuckerberg, I remember watching him, present this to our government, and you could just feel the anger and the tension in the room from our then, in power government, which is mostly the same people. So I'm super surprised to see that they're even this open to these massive institutions opening up their baskets, but they almost might have to hold up the treasury market.
Well, it just gets to when it just rolls up at some point to the question of who has to be open to it, right? If it's all owned by Vanguard and BlackRock, if it's all owned by, if the government has extremely strong say, which they have for a long time over PayPal and eBay, once they started to kind of rise up and become that payments layer of the internet, they realized pretty quick, like, oh, we need to get control over this. There was a lot of money flowing back and forth. There was a lot of different types of businesses that were able to utilize that and take advantage of, oh, hey, a new digital payment system, a new way to buy and sell things on the internet, to trade value back and forth outside of the US dollar. They had to wrangle that pretty quickly, just like Facebook when it rose up to become the identity layer of the internet. So they kind of get their arms around it, and governments are a lot more savvy, I think, than people give them credit for when it comes to technology. They play stupid a lot, and they'll put their circus actors out there asking really dumb questions about technology, but then you realize, like, oh, wait a minute, they've been funding, the identity layer from the beginning. Oh, they own most of what is the payments layer to begin with. Oh, now there's this new payments layer coming up that's, going to free and, release a lot of people. Well, guess what? They're going to own the processors. They're going to own all the entry and exit ramps. They're going to own all the mining facilities. They're going to eventually hoard and own all of the new payments layer until they can issue derivatives off of that, and kind of try to keep running the same system that they've been running. So, that's the system I see come into play. That's kind of the cycle society and humanity's been in for thousands of years. I don't necessarily see it changing now. That's kind of that's where I diverge from being a maximalist in a lot of different ways. So that's where I'll go maximalish, because I don't think it's for lack of a perfect solution that that humanity hasn't thrived in a utopia. I think it's because humanity is, imperfect. And so even if we have been presented with a perfect solution, we'll find a way to pervert it for our own gain. And I think that's ultimately what's going to happen with Bitcoin. It's
Is that Rule 34?
Yeah, Rule 34. No, that's Rule 66. 666. But bottom line, that's why I think, okay, hey, Ethereum, maybe some of these altcoins, maybe a lot of these other things are more potentially corruptible and will be corrupted, for a centralized gain of other people who hold them. So I want to be within that group, not outside of that group, because I don't see the wealth gap getting smaller over the next 100 years. I only see it getting bigger due to technology. So you want to be able to use technology for your advantage, for the people around you, and don't just sit back and, wait for life to get easier and better.
Yeah.
So, the 48 laws of power. Is that what you were referring to, BJ?
No. Rule 34 is, if it exists, there's a special film of it.
Interesting.
What in the hell is going on here?
Really?
There you go.
Have you guys never been on the internet?
No.
I mean, I internet sometimes. Just,
My God.
I guess not that.
I can
Are you referring to Star Wars?
Well, there's a.
thought you were talking about
adult
Zombie
movie
Land.
of that.
I thought you were talking
my
about Zombie Land.
No, literally, Rule 34. If it exists, there's an adult film movie about it.
Oh, I got you.
Well,
Gotcha.
I was trying to be subtle,
yeah.
but apparently subtlety was too much.
Yeah. Okay.
Your mind is too sophisticated for our
I mean, think about it.
feeble minds, BJ.
There's a version the basement that's different.
No,
Whoa.
don't take us there.
Hey,
All
I
right,
am on the couch.
We're
just
about
saying.
profiting, okay?
Yeah, speaking of profit, we got the DeFi investor here. This is interesting at this point. Projects and companies building their own L2s. I'm getting more and more bullish on OP by the week as more and more of these things start rolling out on it. Coinbase building on it, Binance, DBank, Mantle, Mentis, Cello, WorldCoin. I don't know some of these other ones. Zora Network, Lyra Finance I've heard of, Unidex, Mode Network, and those aren't even all. Let's put it in perspective. Base alone generated 1.5 million in revenue this month so far. Means 45 million annualized revenue. 10% of base revenue goes to the Optimism treasury. That's 4.5 million at the current stats. If base continues to grow, this figure could probably surpass 20 million in the next bull run. This would mean 20 million in revenue for Optimism only from base. It obviously this depends on if Coinbase will play their cards right. But every every L2 that will join Optimism Superchain will send a percentage of its earnings to the OP treasury. Worth keeping an eye on Optimism development. So this is to me, this gives senses of early DeFi. I think Curve, Compound, a lot of that kind of stuff when it first launched. It's not necessarily super sexy. It may be one of the bigger pumpers in the next bull run. It may not be, but I think it's a solid way to build value. It's going to be used just like Ethereum. It's kind of like if it, I don't want to call it Ethereum back when it was first launching, but if you want to think of like, hey, Bitcoin, a lot of people are going to hold it to store value. Ethereum, people are going to be building applications on it. They're going to be using the base Ether for the gas, like just that similar concept. Similar with OP, it's not the same, but if you just want to think in that same mindset of like, hey, OP is competing to be one of the top layer 2 chains. It seems to be chosen by a lot of top players in the space like Coinbase, Binance. We're seeing a lot of volume go through on there. We're seeing it generate a lot of value for the main chain. That's going to continue to bode well over time. I'm going to continue to build that out. So to me, again, Matic is a clear head start. There's a lot of transactions happening on Matic. We know Arbitrum's getting a lot of transactions as well, but seeing the OP stack and how many people are choosing to use it, and if you get that synergy from the ecosystem of people already within blockchain, it could just explode really fast. So what do you think, AJ?
Tell us, do you know the unlock token time
I'm
frame?
not touching OP with a stick.
Okay.
I'm not touching OP with a stick.
Why?
I get what you're saying, and I'm cool with that, but OP, pretty aggressive emission schedule. It's 16.69% vested. 16% vested. Regardless if the market cap, if like the market cap is going to have to chase the living hell out of its supply all the way up the hill. At what point? There are so many coins out there that are like 90% vested. Look at Arweave, look at Quant, stuff like that. Like where those coins are in the supply, and when the market cap goes up, the price goes up, and there's no chasing going on. With a coin like Optimism, and it's only 16.6% vested, there's still so much of that market cap still to come in. I'm out. Yeah. I'm out, man. I'm out. No way.
And you don't keep an eye on it. You don't, because do you know when most of it comes in?
I have a chart of it. I don't know off the top, but I have a chart of it, and it's in a pretty aggressive emission.
It is, and that's what we've looked at it here before. And I'm pretty sure when we looked at it, almost most of it comes out by the beginning of by the end of or by 2024, and kind of comes out before the halving starts. So
buying it now is even more scary.
Sure, yeah, I'm not going hard on it. I'm buying small pieces of it now, but I'm starting to accumulate it now. But really, if you just wait, if you're worried about the tokenomics, because Swee's the same way. A lot of people, that's a lot more of a VC thing. But if you look at them, most of the distribution comes out before the halving. It comes out very aggressive in the next 6 months, and then you've got some space. I want to say like 70% of it or something plays out. We've looked at it, both of those before, and it was very similar to where as long as you wait until before the halving, Q1 24 time, most of the tokens should be in circulation at that time.
Yeah.
The other thing to keep in mind, what I like to look at is where the tokens are going. If they're going to foundation, if they're going to devs versus VCs, all of that stuff kind of makes a difference as well. I have learned, though, a lot of time, tokenomics matters, especially in a bull market. I've learned it matters a little bit less in the bull market. So looking at what's getting used, it really does matter. So, and that's why I'm saying OP. I'm not saying it's going to be a 20xer. I think it's a solid. You're going to make money with it. I'd put it very similar with Ethereum. I think Ethereum's going to do very well in the next cycle. I'm going to hold a lot of Ethereum, but I don't think it's going to be your top gainer.
It's not going to 100x.
No, but right? I think it's a very solid 5 to 8x. And I would put OP
more
in a very
like the 2 to 3 range. That's still great.
Yeah. I mean, I think it could very easily get 10, over 10K, if saying we're at 1800 right now. So
OP circulating supply is going to more than double between now and November of 25.
Right. And so if you wait until then,
that's a different story.
Well, that's that was the point I was trying to get at. Don't just say, "Oh, wait, there's not enough out. I'm done. I'm out forever." Just because that's not that far away. Just say, I'm watching and waiting until this point.
That's fair.
And then I'm coming back to it and looking at the price or whatever.
That's completely fair. I just meant in terms of gearing up for the next bull run. Like with the idea that November that range is roughly going to be the blow off top, like hopefully based off the Bitcoin halving cycle, which hasn't let us down yet. With that in mind, right now, OP is not a coin I am focused on, not even a little tiny bit.
Yeah.
But in the future, I'm not against, especially if it could. Like, I'm not saying it's not going to perform.
Sure.
I mean, of course, OP is probably going to do fairly well considering how much stuff it has going at a very active layer 2, and it's growing exponentially all the time. I mean, especially getting the Coinbase deal to start with is going to, other companies are going to say, wow, like Coinbase went with them. It's going well. Why don't we use Optimism? Like, it's just going to keep growing like Matic did when it started to get partnerships with Coca-Cola, Nike, Gucci, blah, 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 blah. Everyone's on Matic because they feel safe with it. So the more people feel safe with Optimism, it's going to keep going. But from a tokenomics standpoint, gearing up for the next bull run, it's not a coin I'm focusing on just based off tokenomics.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm strong. I am because I'm really big believer in Ethereum and Ethereum layer 2s for the next bull run. Somebody, Eric Carlson in the chat says, I think Cosmos is going to surprise a lot of people. dApps are really coming into the ecosystem. I hope so. I've been a big Cosmos or Atom fan for a long time. But I'm not so sure about that. I'm really starting to, and we'll see. I'm a big believer in smart contract platforms. I'm also gonna have a platform based, whether you call them layer 0s, layer 1s, whatever, platform based, smart contract platform based portfolio going into it too. But the more time goes on, the harder and harder it is, I feel like, to make cases for non-Ethereum based smart contract platforms. The better the layer 2s get, which is part of what, now this could change. This is just how I'm feeling today, watching the way the ecosystem is developing, and it's changing a lot. This could change a lot in 6 months. You could have one coming out that's crushing.
Oh yeah.
But the more the the ecosystem of the Ethereum network gets built out between, which I've said on this channel before, the wallets and the apps and all the different things, and then if the layer 2s can solve the problems of speed and price, now you've got the best security, you've got a lot. Well, you do. I mean, realistically, for the volume, there's no network that transmits more volume.
All the layer 2's backdoors.
You can if you want, but you still can't name a network that transmits more volume more securely.
It's been proven at a higher use case,
right? That's
like
what I'm saying.
Rate.
You've got Bitcoin that does the most at the highest security, and you've got Ethereum at the second highest security. And yeah, you can say there's hacks going along the way, but that happens. But it's a function of the value that's getting transmitted and the amount of security that's on it.
I think it's crazy that the Ethereum isn't even focused on sharding like they used to, like pre-merge, or with gas fees going down. Like obviously the merge did lower gas fees. Everyone was talking sharding. But now the layer 2s are so good that Ethereum is approaching sharding differently. They're doing something called photo-dank sharding, which is more of like a horizontal. But it's not the same as traditional sharding because the ZK technology with the layer 2s has overperformed so well that they're not even going to do sharding in the version that they intended to do it.
That's actually bullish because their original way of doing sharding was one of the biggest reasons, or one of the many reasons I was crapping on Ethereum, because the original version, literally, if one of the nodes was at less computational power, it would start improperly validating invalid transactions. So the fact that they're doing that is actually awesome.
Yeah, look into photo dank sharding. It's very, very interesting.
Well, and that perfectly
do that with safe search on.
Yeah.
That perfectly illustrates the point too of paying attention to projects developments over time in this space, particularly because it can change so quickly. And in new technology comes out on this project, say a layer 2, it's like, oh, actually, we don't need to implement this now, or we're going to implement it in a different way, or hey, zero knowledge is coming in and it's changing the way we're doing all of this stuff. And so it's fun to keep an eye on. And in my experience, Ethereum is advancing at a very strong clip. Bitcoin had a really good network effect, still does. And I think they have to change more slowly because there's more risk because of the value involved and all that sort of stuff. That's just the nature of the game. The bigger the network is, the harder it is to make changes securely without everything breaking, no matter what kind of network you're running, let alone ones with millions and millions of dollars, incentivized to break it. So Ethereum, similarly, I still think, again, a lot of these, there's tons of smart, everybody's asking, what about Arbitrum? What about HBAR? What about, Cardano? What about all these other, we see, I see Quant, Matic, ICP, there's tons of other chains that could come up and solve some really good problems and do really well. There's going to be a lot of hype in this next bull run where, things get hyped. I'm sure things around AI, I'm sure we've talked about them, the narratives, data storage, decentralized trading, especially as we're starting to see a lot of these trading apps blowing up like X and PayPal and some of these app-based finance things going off. They're going to want to be able to use protocols to facilitate a lot of this stuff rather than having to run big clearing houses, trading houses, that sort of stuff. So, and we did see, BJ, is it possible for you to do a card trick in 30 seconds or less?
It's possible. I'm not
Can
going
you do
to.
a
You're not
card
going
trick
to, okay.
while sharding?
Yeah, I can also do those things.
I guess that's going to require a super chat. Sorry.
Yep.
I'll
do it one of these days.
Real quick to come back to part of, again, why I'm watching this as a technology, Arbitrum, because people are asking about, not Arbitrum, Optimism. People are asking about Base, about Arbitrum. Base L2, now again, this is only on a 1 week basis and there's a lot of hype and mania going on around it, but Base L2 surpassed both Arbitrum and Optimism in daily transactions. It's TVL up 80% in the last 7 days. So this is part of why I'm keeping an eye on that. Again, you can have underlying protocols that are getting the things done, but marketing, users, brand, all that stuff matters. Like the point AJ was making earlier, once big companies start using it and it's no longer risky for somebody else to make that decision. Like, oh, so-and-so is using Optimism Stack. We've got all these companies using it. Okay, sure. That's the clear choice. Why, don't go do something risky and put your neck out there by trying something new. Like
who's used Base in the past 7 days in this room?
I was on there.
Yeah, they have. I have.
I was on there. And it's just like,
pull that mic up.
Going into the next bull run, like I'm thinking about it, I'm in the position where I'm getting ready to rebuild my narrative driven or speculative bags. I'm looking for something a little bit more aggressive than just my basic Bitcoin and Ethereum. I built a lot of the portfolio off of that originally last cycle. I'm looking at where we are right now, and I feel like I need to have a coverage of both OP, Arbitrum. I need Polygon. I'll probably get some Mina in there, just some lesser known, because it might only do a 2 or 3x on the ones that are losers, but that's not really a loser if you think about it in retrospect to because your goal is to beat inflation, right? And so a 2x over the course of a few years, that's at least almost keeping up with inflation in the last 3 years. So you're doing all right, you know what I mean? And it only takes one of those 4 or 5 picks to really hit a greater use case and adoption to experience something good out of that risk play. And I think just from where I am, I'm looking at these different options where people are talking about these projects, but they just have to keep the lights on, the marketing out there, the expansion going into the bull run, and they will be considered a winner in comparison to if you just leave it in inflationary dollar. Then you can just compare the two mindsets, and I'd much rather be on the risk-taking side over the next few years. So
there you go. Congratulations, Mr. Techno Goody. We're all proud of you. Good job for that.
What Techno Goody do?
He was talking about the bases.
It's all about base. Got the third base last night.
Hey!
Well,
got him.
Got him.
All your base are belong to us.
Oh, I thought you were about to do a
trick.
I
just did. If anybody watched, that was actually
no, you got to rewind the film for that secret for that clip. By the way,
that one's fun to do.
We do have 407 people watching right now, only 100 something likes. So if you guys could stop what you're doing real quick, smash that like button. The goal for likes every single day, 420 likes. If we can do that every day for a while, we're gonna have a party. So if you could, we really appreciate that. Helps people learn about how to change their lives with Ethereum and get out of debt, like Drew was just saying, beat inflation.
That's the goal.
We didn't look at the weekly pumpers, and hey, I forgot to mention Rune did get a really good pump over the weekend. We did talk about this a lot last week in the updates they had coming. I told you they were substantial, and it looks like somebody else out there agreed with me. So hey, there's a pump there. Toncoin, I know we've talked about. H-bar, ApeCoin. I saw Omina. I thought Render. Where did Render go? I thought Render pumped earlier too, but I don't see it on here. I just remember thinking there was like, hey, we talked about all those on Basement, but Mina's an interesting one. You mentioned. I've got
47 cents, right?
If it came onto my radar right around 40 cents or something like that. We talked about it early in the year.
Was it over $1 this year?
It was.
It did,
over $1.
It pumped way up, pulled way back when everything else did. It's Drew, you mentioned wanting to buy things outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm with you. It's just so hard to pull that
when.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. It's like every time I look at it, it's like I'd still think, we could be going down on.
That's the whole conversation. Like, are we satisfied with this 28K dip? Is Bitcoin satisfied with the 28K? 28.6 is what it hit like 3 times over the, more short term. If you look at the history, a lot of what we've been looking at, and historically was looking at the last cycle over the weekend. I've been really obsessing over this as of lately, because trying to find out if we're going to have that traditional, 30 to 50% correction on Bitcoin before, the halving happens and the real upswing happens for Bitcoin. So I'm in that kind of mindset where it's like, has it become more accepted across the world in larger pools of money so that we probably won't experience what we've seen in the past? And maybe that's why we won't get what we are expecting out of the past. And it might only be a 20% dip. It may hold at this $25,000 mark for Bitcoin, and that might be the case. And, so I don't want to be left on the sidelines just holding just the Bitcoin when the real party actually begins.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought that up too, because I was looking, I just found this. I wasn't on here originally, but I wanted to bring this up because,
DCA. What? DCA is the way.
Yeah, I like it. This kind of comes.
It doesn't work, but it's hilarious.
This comes into what AJ was talking about with that September 17th, what you were talking about of when is this? This is Bitcoin's 1 month volatility levels, which is meaning the change in price up or down that have previously preceded large price impulses. So you can see, let's see if I can, you might want to pull my screen down real quick, Owen. You can see these dots here of like when this is the volatility, the red line, and then obviously the black is the price. So you can see, hey, when the volatility dropped down, you saw a big spike in the price here. When this volatility got really low, you saw a big dump in the price here. This is in this would have been December 2018, probably the last, beginning of the last bear. Same thing, volatility really low. Hey, we got some big, a dramatic move up. Similarly in 2020, when the volatility hit the all-time low, big move up, but not always down, or up. It goes sometimes up, sometimes down.
And a lot of people at that last dot you just highlighted, a lot of people are calling that's the end of the economy. That Great Depression has begun.
This is the end of the end. Yeah.
Hide. That's what they were selling right at that point, and a lot of people had their rears handed to them in that point right there, because they put all their money in savings, listening to old school dinosaur talking heads saying saving is the way you will survive this. Make sure you have enough money for toilet paper because this is the end of the world and we're going to sneeze forever.
Go put it all under your mattress. And then what happens? Rip, huge rip. And then, and then here we are right now where we reported on it last week. It's the lowest we've been for a while. We're still teetering down. So as this volume drops off, we're at a dramatically low point in volatility, and sideways right here, just kind of grinding to a halt, where it's really somewhere right here, not too much further, another 30 days ish, where this is going to hit that triangle point where it's either going to go up and kind of try to hold on to above 30, or pull back down into the 25s or below. I mean, really, I think we'll probably stop around 25, but there's, if it doesn't, it could get scary and go, even lower. But
by scary, do you mean an awesome time to buy?
Yes, I do. But it won't feel like it. It's gonna, there's gonna be ETFs getting delayed. They're gonna they're gonna be giving you bad headlines. Making a super recession incoming. Housing market freeze. Layoffs. All of this different stuff. It's gonna sound scary, just like what he was talking about in March of 2020. It is if you know how to reverse, mindset yourself. But I think, based on what I'm looking at here, based on what I know of the cycles, what we're looking at with the moving averages, what the TA people are telling me what's coming up soon, I'm going to say I think we're due for a pullback. I don't know how far. I'm not going to say all the way to 20, but I could see us pulling into the 25 range really easily.
I say 22-1, Bob.
Yeah, there's all kinds of levels, 28, 25, 22-2, 20, 17, all those different levels all the way down. I've held strong most of this year that I think we're going to be between 20 and 28. In theory, it's held on the higher side. Obviously, we went up to the 30s, and we've kind of held between 28 and 30 for almost the last couple months. It feels like with this. That's why, this whole basically from here to here hasn't changed much in price. We've been right around 28 to 30 since we're in August, basically since June.
Can I make a BS prediction?
Sure.
Middle of December, we hit 19.4.
Wow. That would be dramatic.
I'm here for dramatic.
Historically, though, that's not that crazy.
It's not.
that
It's
crazy.
not.
No, it's not.
Historically, if you look at the monthly candles, that's where things went down to.
Yep.
And that would be the level
Yeah,
where...
retesting the 20K.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Tax loss harvesting.
It wouldn't be shocking. I think there's so much attention on it right now. I think so many, and this is the other thing, always everybody says 24, 25 is going to be good. That's scary. Means maybe it's not, it's like, well,
it's always good.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying it's always scary to think you have it all figured out and think it's so easy because it's never as easy as it seems. However, at this point, there's more attention. The fact that big money is coming into it, big institutions are coming into it, ETFs, maybe they're getting delayed, but at this point, they're closer than they've ever been. Government approval is closer than it's ever been. Tax things are closer than it's ever been. Lawsuits are coming out in favor of it. There's all, in my opinion, even though it sounds scary to people that aren't in it every single day, like I've never had a stronger conviction in the whole time I've been looking at Bitcoin and crypto that like there's no way this is going anywhere at this point. Now it may change a lot. It might take left turns, right turns. You might have to adapt and like we were just talking about, Ethereum might win. Cardano might win. Cosmos, all these other Polkadot, whatever you want to name. You might get 10 different iterations going all the way through. NFTs might change completely over this year or that year. You might get big winners, big losers, but at the end of the day, the industry isn't going anywhere. So if we stay here, we educate ourselves and we stay active, I think for all of you guys out there and for all of us here, this is the best use and time and implementation of our energy to turn it into impact for our families and ourselves. So why not do it? And it's fun. So
just real quick, like honestly, I think if Bitcoin, I kind of see a situation where by September 17th, Bitcoin's going to get over 31, but then ETFs get denied, and then the big washout happens before the pre-halving pump.
I like that.
That's kind of what the scenario. It makes sense in my mind. I mean, you never actually call it, but like I wanted to say it out loud because in case I'm right, I'm going to clip this.
Yeah.
But also, I mean,
so would that be considered a bear trap or is that a bull
trap?
Bull
Big
trap.
bull
So it's
trap.
going to go up
past 31. We're going to say, oh man, we got over the SR. That's a really important SR. Get over SR. October 16th, 17th, ETFs get denied. Big wash to 25, maybe lower, and then
I like that.
Pick back up.
I like that.
But so, and also just keep in mind, if say we don't get past 31, we get rejected. I want you guys to know, like alts are going to get wrecked.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, alts are going to get
That's what I'm
wrecked.
thinking.
Yeah.
Like bad.
Absolutely.
Real bad.
Right.
But that can play to your advantage.
So when someone says like, hey Jay, are you trying to buy quant at 100? The answer is still yes. The answer is still yes, because even if quant goes to 80, I'm going to buy it at 100. I'm going to buy it at 80. I'm going to buy it at 70 because I'm not going to sell it to 1,000. So like the idea is that like you want to have dry powder on the side. When you DCA, you should also DCA dry powder. But at the same time, that shouldn't stop you from DCAing the whole way down the street, at least a little bit like what you feel comfortable DCAing, because you're still going to sell way past the point of what we're buying now, even if we get wrecked. That's the long-term mindset. A lot of people can't. They will stop themselves from buying now, and sometimes we'll miss the train. It's at 10 now. I want to buy it at 9. It never goes to 9. Well, then you never bought in. So it's just kind of that long-term. And I'm getting smarter by osmosis by sitting next to BJ. So there you go.
There you go. That's a really good. That's a really good way to break it down. That's kind of in another way, similar to what I was saying with Optimism. That's how I'm viewing Optimism,
Yeah,
where it's
I
like
see
I'm
it.
not. Yeah, there could be better times at entries. Hey, welcome to OG
Hey,
status.
Brian.
It took you long enough, sell out.
Yeah,
Oh,
welcome back
damn.
from the mountains. But no, but that's a great point. We've been talking about that a lot here. That's why we're heavy in Bitcoin, Ethereum right now. If we get a significant pullback on the majors, the miners just get absolutely destroyed. This is why you see Cowan talking about dominance a ton. Again, I don't think we're going to see it all rush back into Bitcoin as much as we have in the past, because we see it going into stables. And then where it disperses out of after it comes out of stables is what's interesting to me. And I'm seeing a lot of that flowing into Ethereum when it flows back out of stables, and some other stuff. But just most of what we're seeing these days is either Ethereum or Ethereum based. It really was interesting when we were looking at the VC stuff last week.
Yeah.
And there was probably 20 different projects on there. And as you look through them, you realize, every single one is Ethereum or Ethereum based. Hey, man, nice. He's gifting memberships. I didn't even know you could do that. So that's really cool. Gifted
What a
one
guy.
blockchain basement membership.
Can everybody do that? Does everybody have the capability?
I think so.
Everybody wants to try. We're just trying to test the function.
Yeah.
And
of
Aru
gifting.
Basu got it. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. So, and guys, if you're a member of Blockchain Basement, which all you have to do, I think underneath each YouTube video, you see a subscribe button and a join button. So join is how you become a YouTube member. Once you do that, then you get access to the Discord. I think that you can get into the Discord anyway, but you get access to special channels in the Discord. And then I think we're getting close to 15,000 subscribers. I think we're at like 14,800. So if you join memberships now before we hit 15,000, you'll get the sub 15K NFT. And I don't think a lot of people are going to have it, which is fun because Crypto Steve, what a G, gifting memberships too. No, I'm not going to talk about this right now.
Wait, what price predictions? What will be higher, the number of subs we have at the end of the year or Bitcoin's price?
Bitcoin's price.
What? You're bearish on the basement like that?
No, I just
He's just
no,
realistic.
really
He's
yeah.
just being realistic.
I'm just really
That's
bullish
funny.
on Bitcoin. I didn't
that's
hear. I
funny.
did. So AJ said pull back after September 17th. Or go up.
No,
I'm sorry.
I'm saying
and
get
then
above
delay.
31.
Yeah.
I'm not saying delay. I'm saying rejected. ETFs
so not just
rejected.
Oh wow, which
Ba-
one?
ba- all
ARK
of them.
or all
All
of
of them.
Oh, that would shock.
All of them. I mean, think about if the SEC really wants to fight. If America really wants to push back, are they going to give Bitcoin? I mean, I don't want this to happen. I'm just like my mind, everything I know about how our government operates.
Yeah.
Until a Bitcoin spot ETF gets approved, I am skeptical.
It's going to get approved first quarter
hope
next
it does.
year.
Yeah, I
Like,
think it'll get
please
approved
God,
next year. But
Please
they
First
have,
God
quarter.
approve us. But
they don't even have to make a decision for quite some time. So I think delays are
yeah,
are
but
most likely.
I showed you the schedule, right? It's like October and then January, and there's like some of them are like plus or minus a couple weeks, but like in October, a lot of them, October
Look at all
16th and
this.
17th, there's a lot of the decisions where it could get rejected, delayed, or accepted. And I just kind of see if the SEC really wanted to fight this thing, like if it gets rejected, that would be
epic. Yeah, that would be unexpected for sure.
yeah. That always expect the unexpected with crypto. So I'm just playing
1970,
devil's advocate.
middle
you know?
of December. It's going to be hilarious.
B13 Senior, welcome to OG status. And Manawalk, the one of the true OGs in the basement, gifted 5 memberships. So what a guy. Let's see. Kenny O was gifted a membership, Quarter Crawler, and Maninja Forf. So you guys are scoring.
Wait,
Shout out to Steve.
Welcome to OG status.
how many
guys.
subs do we have to get to put Blockchain Basement on the side of the building? It's
A lot
100,000.
more. Yeah, a lot
Way
more.
more.
Frankie
So
just
tell
got
your
there
friends,
with 50K.
tell your mamas, your friends' friends, your sister's brothers, and your uncle's daughters. Tell them all.
Okay.
I will. I did want to touch on this before we wrap it up. I was gonna just end it right there, but and you guys can talk
You
about
can
this more
pee in your
tomorrow. if you want.
pants.
But this is gonna be relevant to when the ETFs hopefully get approved. We're seeing Fed rate hikes this year, plus cuts to come in 2024. And we've been talking about this for a while. I don't think we're going to see cuts anytime soon this year, but if they're cutting rates in 2024, making money cheaper while we get a Bitcoin halving, while we get ETFs approved, that could be the perfect storm to really, again, kick things off. Main party, statistically, historically shouldn't be till 2025 or, a couple really doesn't start until after the halving. The halving, I always say 24, 25, but really the halving isn't till May?
I think it's April 2024.
Yeah, so it's not going to really get going till the end of 24 and 25. But
what if we get no cuts? And I'm basing that off of a lot of the 40-year charts.
If we get no cuts, I don't think it's going to still won't matter as much.
Because I think interest rates were just the lowest, and we might go back up to the high teens in the next, over the next 40 years. I don't know if we start cutting this early or if this is.
I think they'll hold here for a while, and then I think they will start to cut starting next year. It's partially because it's a election cycle. They could get off it for a little while, even if they came down. Hey, we're at what are we at 6 right now? 5.75, something like that.
The interest rate, the Fed funding rate, yes, I believe is around 5.5%.
Yeah. So even if they came down to 4.5, and that gets a little bit of an injection, and then did something else later. So I don't know, just something to keep an eye on there. We're not going to talk about Solana today. I wanted to see. I wanted to have the discussion about other smart contract platforms, how valid they are. When something's way down and you buy it, can it recover? That sort of stuff. Because I'm getting more and more bullish on Ethereum by the day. It's getting harder and harder to look at non-Ethereum based.
We got to find gems, just compound them gains.
We do. But all right, guys, that's all we have time for today. Shout out to all of you guys. Smash the likes on the way out. We really love you. Big Daddy Bro Tip. Well, that's a heck of a combo. Druda, Italiano, Manoa, Cryptos for Tacos, the Thumbnail Investor, Michael King, Skid Marks, Quarter Crawler, Crypto, Stevo, the Deadwood, Min Ninja Fourth, Bro Tip, Kenny. Whoa, what's going on there?
He's trying to be artistic.
Oh, look at that. That's cool. I like it.
Oh,
All right,
come
that was
on.
fun. Thanks, Owen. That's all we have time for today. Go buy some Bitcoin. Tell everybody you love them. Be nice.
Big Daddy
Spread
Bro
love.
Tip.
Blup.
Be generous.
Blup.
Gratitude.